Hi team, this is the first video instructional little supplementary tool and resource for you guys. So of course I am Christopher Capotosto. I am the student instructor for the Fundamentals of Tableau student-led class at UC Riverside. So today I'll just be going over the bar charts, maps, pie charts, as well as scatter plots. These were some topics that we went over in the first class. This is, for a supplement for my students or anyone on YouTube who wants to learn the ways of Tableau. So today we're going to be using the GDP versus life satisfaction. These are, of course, reported and recorded, and these are also published and can be found online on the link in the description or the Makeover Mondays. So with this bar graph, we are looking at the regions and their GDP per capita. So, of course, this has some color into it, but we're just going to show you how to create it from the very beginning. So all you have to do is drag region into rows and GDP per capita into columns, and boom, you have your bar chart. And so if we want to have our little color just to show some differences, we can drag our GDP per capita into color to show, which regions have a lower GDP per capita compared to others. And so to change this, you can go into color, edit colors, and then select from this long list of what you would like to see. You can also create your own sequential and diverging. So with this palette, I actually chose to reverse it because I did want to show that red tends to be worse than green, so I just wanted to show that. Going over into a pie chart, this is a great tool to use to visualize the distribution of values. So of course this is each region showing their contribution into the world's GDP per capita, and you can see the total here over to the right is 27 million, but for this case we're just going to be really looking at how to construct these. So we're going to start from the beginning. You're going to drag GDP per capita into size and region into color. So right now this is actually a tree map. This is showing in size comparison how the contribution to the GDP for each region. So all we have to do is go into the marks card and then just change into pie. To see it in a fitting view, we just click this view and hit entire view. And so if we want to see each region name, you can of course drag from the dimensions continuously, or to make it a little bit easier, you can hit Control or Command for my Mac users and then just click. So that copies whatever you command or controlled clicked. And so we can also drag the sum GDP to show into our label. And so right now we're only seeing their number, not the percent. So all we have to do is right click, quick table calculation, and show percent of total. And there we go. We've got the percents. From our map, this is a map that shows our filter. So it has a filter showing each region. This is a great way to make the user experience a little bit easier rather than viewing into specific areas. And this is actually the map feature that made me fall in love with Tableau, combining geography with data. And so if we start from the very beginning, all we have to do is double click country. It automatically registers latitude and longitude to each country that's shown in the data source, as we see here. Tableau, automatically recognizes that. If it doesn't, go into here and just assign it a geographic role. And so to complete this, all we have to do, of course, since we're looking at life satisfaction this time, we're going to drag life satisfaction into color. And so we can already see the color. Tableau remembered, okay, we're going to be using the temperature diverging, and that's why it's already colored. So if we do want to go into specific regions to make our viewing experience a little bit easier, all we have to do is drag region into filters and fill out this filter card. So what this filter card is asking us right here in general, it's a select from this list. What do you want to see in this list? You can also exclude these. So if we have this unchecked, we're going to say, okay, we want to show all of these because we want to be able to pick. But if you click this means that it's going to exclude. So if you had nothing except Europe, that means that only Europe will be won't be shown, right? It's just going to be blocked out. So we're going to include everything, make sure the exclude is unclicked, and hit OK. And so we're going to right-click, show filter, and change this to single value list. And so later within the class, we're going to be discussing filters and parameters later, more in depth. But for right now, for this quick tutorial, I just wanted to show you how you can make this a little bit easier for your viewer, because we're discussing the use of maps. So of course, when you look back into these maps, you can do specific cities within countries, and as well as airport codes. But for right now, we're just going to be talking about this since this is the data set that we have. So, if we go through, we can easily see, okay, this is what is going on with everybody. If we wanted to list the countries, of course, you just drag country into label and boom, you have it right there. It's a little bit hard to read, so we're just going to take that out. And it is included in our tooltip. So last but not least, we're going to be going over some scatter plots. This scatter plot also has the same region filter. I really love this region filter in this data set, but we're going to start from scratch, of course, and do our best to recreate this. So for our scatter plot, we're going to be using GDP per capita as well as life satisfaction. So what scatter plots really do are just show the relationship and the meaning of what this dimension and how it interacts with its GDP per capita and life satisfaction data. So right now, without showing any countries, we just have this one point. And so this one point really is like the intersection between both measures, right? So we're going to drop down country into detail. And so we see all of our countries. And so to make it a little bit easier to read, because it is a little different or difficult to be able to hover over each one, we could choose to include the name, but of course that is almost just as bad. So what we're going to do is we're going to drag region into color. And so Tableau automatically, gives a color to each region. If you wanted to, you can edit colors to keep in mind. I know there's a color blind option, and we can just automatically assign the palette really quick and changes the colors, but I think we're just going to go for a more vibrant look. I had it somewhere. Okay. And so with this, we can, of course, change the view just to make it a little bit easier to see since it's more spread out. But if we wanted to go into our region filter, of course, go back into filter, hit OK, and then go show our filter, and then hit the tiny little arrow and single value. So it gives us a little bit easier time to show us what everything means. So while it is easy to say that, okay, like that looks like a slope of 1, like that looks like there's a correlation there, it is important to know that Tableau does have the option in showing some analytical properties pertaining to this, especially with correlation. We can look at their R and R square. We're going to be going over that later in the class. But yeah, just want to remind everyone at home, correlation does not mean causation, and you should always make sure you look at those hard numbers to make sure you're saying something correct. And so that is how you make your scatter plot. I do want to highlight, I know we did our region features and our scatter plots in our map, and I did want to show an example of what it would look like together. And so this is an incomplete dashboard, but with using some parameters, we can make some Tableau magic happen And so every time we switch from life satisfaction to GDP, we actually see a change in both. So we can see the color change here, as well as some movement. And I also made, some size changes to all of these scatter plots, these points in the scatter plot. And we can go into each region as well. And so this, we were talking about R square earlier. The analysis also changes per region. So important to note. I know that North America shows downward while everyone shows upward. Just do want to, say that this is only 2 points of data for that region. So thank you everyone for coming and dropping by. Thank you for taking a look at my quick little unfinished dashboard. But yeah, so if you have any questions to my students, if you have any questions regarding any of the information or content that we went over today in this video, please bring those questions and concerns in class. And thank you. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.